If you've ever shopped for internet cables or tried setting up a router, you've probably seen the terms Ethernet cable and network cable used almost interchangeably. At first glance, they seem like the same thing, and in casual conversation, people often treat them that way. But if you slow down and look a little closer, there's actually an interesting distinction hiding beneath those words. So, how Ethernet cable and network cable differ? Let's find out right here on History of Simple Things. Let's start with the simpler term, network cable. Think of this as the umbrella category. A network cable is any cable used to connect devices so they can communicate with each other. That could mean connecting your laptop to a router, linking computers in an office, or even running connections between servers in a data center. The key idea is communication. If it lets devices exchange data, it's a network cable. Now here's where things get more specific. An Ethernet cable is a type of network cable. But not all network cables are Ethernet cables. Ethernet refers to a specific technology and standard used for wired networking. It defines how data is formatted, transmitted, and received across a network. So when you hear Ethernet cable, you're really talking about a cable designed to meet the standards of Ethernet communication. This difference may seem small, but it matters. It's like saying vehicle versus car. Ethernet's dominance comes from its origins in the 1970s at Xerox PARC, where it introduced a standardized way for computers to communicate. As it evolved, it became faster, more reliable, and eventually the global standard for wired networking. Early Ethernet didn't use today's familiar cables. It relied on thick, bulky coaxial lines that were hard to manage. As technology advanced, twisted pair cables replaced them, becoming lighter, cheaper, and easier to install, which is why they're now standard everywhere. You've likely seen labels like Cat5e, Cat6, or Cat7. These categories define performance, with newer ones offering faster speeds and more reliable transmission. But Ethernet isn't the only way devices can communicate through cables. This is where the broader term network cable comes back into play. There are other types of network cables that serve different purposes or technologies. Fiber optic cables, for instance, use light instead of electricity to transmit data. They're extremely fast and carry data long distances without signal loss, making them ideal for large-scale infrastructure. Coaxial cable, once used for Ethernet, is now more commonly associated with TV and certain internet connections, but it still qualifies as a network cable since it carries data between devices. The confusion between Ethernet and network cables comes from everyday use. Ethernet is so widely used in homes and offices that people often treat it as the network itself, using the terms interchangeably without noticing the technical difference. Part of the confusion comes from labeling. Stores and online listings almost always use Ethernet cable instead of the more technical twisted pair network cable because it's simpler and more familiar to most people. Over time, this reinforces the idea that the two terms are interchangeable. Technically, Ethernet cables have twisted copper pairs that cancel interference, keeping signals clean and reliable even in busy electronic environments. This design is one of the reasons Ethernet cables can deliver consistent performance even in environments filled with electronic devices. It's also why higher category cables include additional shielding to further protect against interference. In a world where we're surrounded by wireless signals, power lines, and countless electronic devices, this level of reliability is a big deal. Another fascinating aspect is how Ethernet has evolved to keep up with our growing demand for speed. In the early days, Ethernet speeds were measured in megabits per second. Today, gigabit Ethernet is standard, and even faster versions like 10 gigabit Ethernet are becoming more common in high-performance environments. Meanwhile, the broader category of network cables continues to expand as technology advances. Fiber optics are pushing the limits of speed and distance, while new materials and designs are being explored to improve efficiency and durability. In some cases, hybrid systems combine different types of cables to achieve the best performance for specific applications. So, when should you care about the difference between Ethernet cable and network cable? For most people, it comes down to context. If you're setting up a home network, buying an Ethernet cable is usually exactly what you need. For IT or infrastructure work, understanding network cables is crucial to choose the right connection, copper, fiber, or otherwise. At the end of the day, the distinction between Ethernet cable and network cable is less about right and wrong and more about precision. One is a general term and the other is a specific example within that category. But behind that simple difference lies a whole world of technology, history, and innovation that keeps our digital lives running smoothly. The next time you plug in a cable and connect to the internet, it's worth taking a moment to appreciate what's happening behind the scenes. That simple wire is part of a system that has evolved over decades, connecting billions of devices across the globe. And whether you call it a network cable or an Ethernet cable, it's playing a small but crucial role in keeping you connected to everything that matters. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.